Hello Internet, it's Mike with Riding in the Ozarks. I've been talking a lot about the custom 1250 that's going to be launched on July 13th from Harley-Davidson, and now Cycle World has leaked out some information they got ahead of time. So let's see what's new and what more we know before the bike gets here on July 13th and we get all the details. So I've been concerned if this was going to be really a Sportster replacement or a V-Rod replacement, and I really said that the price would determine that. First off, we don't know the price still. That's still a mystery. Cycle World's got this right, and it is called a Sportster S. The S would probably stand for special, just like we have a Street Glide special and a Street Glide, a Road Glide and a Road Glide special, the Pan America and the Pan America special. You see where I'm going here? So first off, if there's a Sportster S, that would imply there's probably going to be just a Sportster in the future. So maybe a smaller displacement model, like using the 975cc engine that was prototyped for the Bronx. So we'd have a 975cc Sportster and a 1250cc Sportster. Now, I can definitely see that happening. I think that'd be a great idea on Harley-Davidson's part. But then the other thing it goes back to, I've been accused of hating on the Sportster and wanting them to kill the Sportster, and that's not what this is about. I don't want them to kill the Sportster. I just believe they're going to. From the research, the information I've seen, the what direction's going with EPA and emissions, that they're going to have to come up with a variable valve timing, air-cooled engine, or something else to go in the Sportster to keep it alive, or the stringent EPA regulations are going to choke it to death. So unless Harley-Davidson's willing to do that, they don't have any choice but go to this water-cooled engine. So, and I think a variable valve timing air-cooled engine is a possibility in the future. I just don't think Harley-Davidson's got it quite ready for production yet. Maybe they do, maybe I'm wrong. They filed a patent for one just a few years ago. Does that mean we're going to have a Sportster and a Sportster S and they're going to get rid of the irons? I've said I think 2021 is the last model year for the Sportsters, and they might actually do a 2022 model if sales are low enough and they have the parts and the raw materials to continue to make them that they've already paid for. If come 2022 they haven't sold out of enough Sportsters that they still got frames and stuff laying around, then yeah, I can see them making a 2022 Sportster with what they have left. But I think when they run out of the production materials that they've already developed for the Sportster line, I think they'll stop making the air-cooled Sportster. Just a matter of time. And it's not that I want them to do this. Again, it's not that I hate on the Sportster. I just think that's what they're going to do from a business perspective. A lot of people think that'll be the end of Harley-Davidson. I'm not convinced on that when the Sportster line is only 20% of their sales. It's not like they're not going to have an alternative for some people. Some people just don't want the water-cooled motor. They want an air-cooled motor. And I get it. I love the Evolution engine. I still have my 1994 Dyna Lowrider. I'm not getting rid of it no matter what. Now that we got that straight, let's talk about what the Custom 1250 article from Cycle World does tell us. In my opinion, it tells us that this is a bike to compete with the FTR 1200, and it's a regular Scout killer. Now again, a lot's going to depend on where they price this thing, but this bike comes in at about 123 horsepower, I think, and 92 foot-pounds of torque. They have detuned the motor a lot from what the Pan America puts out at 150 horse. The weight they expect to be under 500 pounds. I've checked the wheelbase. What's listed in the article is really close to the FTR 1200, and the weight's going to be just under the FTR 1200. The horsepower is just above it. The torque's just above it. So this bike is essentially going to be spec'd out very similar to the Indian FTR 1200, which I recently did a first ride on. A friend of mine owns one and let me ride it, and I rode it for a couple hours.
Boy, this thing is fun. Oh man. If you want something you can do some wheelies on, take down a gravel road, get out in the twisties. This is a fun motorcycle. Wow. I think Indian really did a nice job on this bike, and it's pretty comfortable. I mean, I've been on it for a little while now, and I'm starting to feel really comfortable on it. It's got that pull. Yeah, this I'd get in trouble on this motorcycle. Maybe I should look at the Trident 660.
I would say the FTR 1200 is really a great bike for getting out and tearing up the twisties. So we know horsepower and torque, and we know weight pretty close, and wheelbase. What we don't know is if this bike is going to be able to compete with the FTR 1200 as a canyon carver. We don't know ground clearance, we don't know lead angle. When we know those things, we'll have a better idea. One thing we do know is this thing's got a wide ass front tire. I think it's a 160 in the front and a 180 in the back. The other thing we know is single disc brake, and the article touted with the reduced weight they didn't need a dual disc brake to slow the bike down with it detuned to 120 horsepower. Now the FTR 1200 that I think this compares really close to for specs has dual front disc brakes. They work great, the braking on it was excellent. Again, I did a first ride on it. I can't wait to ride the Sportster S and see how it compares. So Harley-Davidson, if you're listening, hook me up with a one-day demo ride, not a 5-minute demo ride. Joe, you know who you are. If you get a demo model of this in, give me a call. Now, we know from the press release that Harley-Davidson did for this launch that this bike is supposed to be in dealerships in 2021. So we should see it by the end of the year at the latest. I'm hoping we see it next month at the latest. I think that'd be cool for them to get this thing out right away. The other thing we don't know about this bike that a lot of people complain about with Sportsters is fuel capacity. So again, there's still going to be some specs we're going to get on the 13th that we need to know. Most importantly, it's going to be the price. I mean, if this thing is spec'd out to compete with the FTR 1200, is it going to come in at less than $15,000? That's where the FTR 1200s kind of roughly starts, $14,500, $15,000 for the base models. So with this being the same kind of performance or slightly better, I see this as being a $14,000 plus motorcycle. Now, if they come out with a smaller displacement in the future, maybe we can get a Sportster back down in the $12,000 mark. But I think the days of a $10,000 Sportster are probably going to be over unless you pick up one of the current air-cooled V-twin models. Harley-Davidson, prove me wrong. Come in at $12,000 and just kick Indian's ass all over the place on the pricing. It's not like some dealerships aren't going to tack $2,000 on the MSRP anyway. I gotta say, my street glide's almost paid off. If they came out with a custom 1250 under $14,000, I might think about getting right back into another payment for another bike. I've said I'd like the FTR 1200 or maybe the Trident 660, which is $8,000. But for $4,000, doubling the CCs, I think I would stay with the Harley-Davidson, especially with the dealer network here in the central United States. All right, guys, well, I want to get this out there, and we'll keep reporting to you on what the Sportster S Custom 1250 shapes out to be on July 13th. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you do that YouTube thing, check out the content on my channel. And if you dig it, you can subscribe down below. Don't forget to ring that bell to be notified the next time I drop a new video. And as always, thank you for your support. Stay safe and keep on riding.